Peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abbott, aka Mr. Just the Facts. Got my brother Ali Bey in the building. Got my brother Josh in the building. Oh, tonight we just gonna chop it up a little bit, family. You know, we're gonna get into race a little bit. We're gonna get into pan-africanism, low politics. This new craze that's going on, clubhouse. We trying to see what's up with that. A couple of the bros is up in there. They said it's lit up in that piece. So it's lit. So look, fam, hit the like button as y'all come in. Share the video out. Let people know we having a discussion tonight. I mean, we might open it up. I invited one brother from Twitter to come on. He didn't like a comment that I made on Twitter about Africans. You know, I quoted my brother Logic from the conversation we had earlier, and he didn't like that comment where it said we were stolen. I mean, we weren't stolen. We were traded from Africa. We were traded for good. My man ain't like that. No,
why he didn't like it? What's wrong with it?
I don't know.
It's true.
Well, we can say, you know, it was people that were stolen, but where were they? Who? That's not absolving those people that may have been a rival tribesman from over there, or there might have been he in
the chat. He in the chat. All right.
Yeah, they still were stealing.
All right, look.
Let me tell you. You know how I say it. Mm-hmm. I always say we are the descendants of the people who were kicked out of that place.
Basically. All right, but my man is in the chat, so I like that.
No
I like
doubt.
when people, you know, come through and all that.
Thanks for coming through.
I gotta give shout outs to my people from my hood. Yo, Big Yang, I see you. You know my hood. I love to see my hood.
Big Yang, what up? Peace, Big Yang.
Let me see. All right, look, family, if you would like to contribute to the platform, you can hit the super chat button. You can use the Cash App handle at BETHEPOWER. You can also become a Patreon member and make monthly recurring contributions as we try to grow our platform and grow the brand at BETHEPOWER. You know, the main focus of this particular platform is politics, and you know, we trying to translate certain things in a way that our people in the streets can understand them. And reparations is at the forefront of our political advocacy and our political conversation. So, you know, without further ado, brother Labdequan. Yeah, I'm gonna send you a chat, Labdequan. I mean, I'm gonna send you a link. Matter of fact, I'm trying to figure. I'll put the link in the live chat. Just give me a few minutes. I'll put the link in the live chat. Yeah, anything you wanted to touch on, brother Ali?
Well, in terms of just that whole thing, you know, that whole see, here's the thing, right? They call it the transatlantic slave trade for a reason, right? And that's not something that African Americans made up. That's not something that we pulled out of the sky. That's not a terminology that we came up with on our own. That's what it was called, the transatlantic slave trade, right? And that happened because there were people who were working in conjunction with Europeans, trading people for things. That's what was happening. I was just watching a video that was sent to us the other day, well, yesterday, I think. Professor James Small talking about this very thing. The fact of the matter is you had certain slave traders working with European slavers, whether they were Portuguese or Spaniards, that started this whole thing, which, you know, we can go into the papal bulls and everything else that is at the root of all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, it was a trading system. And we're not saying that all Africans on the continent were involved in trading people, but that's what happened. There were people who were involved with European slavers and were trading people, whether they were what do you call them? Prisoners of war, or whatever the case is, between different, prisoners who were held between from different tribes, different tribes that may have been warring with each other, whatever the case is, right? The bottom line is it happened. It happened. You have people doing it. And we know that it happened because you have different African chiefs who had apologized for their people's roles in the transatlantic slave trade. There's documentation of it, whether it be the Dahomey tribe or whoever. Different people that were involved in it. The Dahomey, from what we've read in the research that is provided about the Dahomey, they built an entire economy off of slave trading. So it is what it is. We didn't get here by happenstance. It wasn't no accident. Damn sure wasn't no accident. We didn't come on our own. It wasn't most of us didn't come on our own. I know there was some Africans who did come on their own. Right. We know about the black conquistadors, and some of the black conquistadors that came with the Spaniards and the Portuguese during the late 14th, early 1500s. We know about that. Some of them did come on their own. Yeah, but at the end of the day, a lot of people came by way of the slave trade. So I don't want us to start pretending like it didn't happen because it hurts people's feelings. It is what it is. That's a part of the history of America.
Facts. And when let me just say real quick, Josh, I think, and I have a lecture up on the Be the Power channel, and it's a brother by the name of Rudolph Bilal, where I actually have his book right here. It's an excellent discussion about Islam, right, in West Africa, and if Islam is coterminous with slavery. And what he's doing is he's breaking down what happened in West Africa, right? He did field research. He's a theologian from out of the University of Michigan. So he went to West Africa. He lived amongst the people. He talked to the griots there. He got access to the records there. So he was able to compile the story about what happened in West Africa. And one of the things that he said was that the thing with the polemics, the Christian polemics wrote about Islam were largely either false or exaggerated, because they had to make Islam coterminous with slavery, right? Make it a part of its doctrine, a part of its way. And this is where you get a lot of the misconceptions about Islam from. I was just on Sarnetta channel, and he called me. I had to school him real quick. He got me off the phone and brought some other brother on.
Earlier tonight?
Yeah, just not too long ago.
Oh, wow.
Him, Reggie wouldn't call in while I was on because they know better. They got somebody that didn't know as much, and they were standing there jumping the poor brother. Anyway, so he said the Christian writers wanted everything that was wrong to be, particularly in the religions, to be attributed to Islam, especially something that they themselves had the biggest hand partaking in, which was slavery. While the Europeans, the Christians, wrote themselves as the liberatory force in Africa. Now, outside of that, on the flip side of that, this idea that there were European incursions by the hundreds of thousands that went into Africa, cast nets, snatched men up like fish in the sea, is just fictitious. It's absolutely fictitious. So that's what stolen means, basically.
Yeah.
That's what stolen
and to
means.
Remember, abolition, one of the things that you'll find in certain West African scholarship is the fact that abolitionism existed in West Africa before the European abolitionism in Europe and then in the Americas. So you had people fighting against slavery, against the people being caught up in the Atlantic slave trade and all that. We understand all of that, right? We understand the dynamics and the nuances of what was going on and that everybody wasn't responsible, but we cannot absolve the people who were responsible for trading other people for
That's
things.
Right. That's right.
And which resulted in the African American being in the predicament that he is in today in the Americas, and those people of the Caribbean and those people of South America. You can't absolve the people who were involved in that. It just is what it is.
That's right. That's right. Got brother Logic in the building. I know John. I want you to come in, but Josh was about to say something.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Oh, peace. Yeah. I think one of the things that I thought about when the people always talk about, well, when they try to push back to say that we were traded for things, like if you think about if it was just a mass theft, you would think that, like, if how would Europeans have access to people to just steal? Like, are people just hanging out on the beach and they were wearing blindfold and they drunk all day and they just getting abducted? And
No.
how are you going to steal all these millions of people like that?
They didn't
And
steal
then,
them.
of course, it wasn't stolen. It's not called the Atlantic slave theft. It's called the Atlantic slave trade. And then you
And
have to think.
yeah.
So if people, and I say a lot of people were stolen, but they weren't all stolen initially from Europeans. They were stolen and rounded up by rival tribes or by people who had excess slaves that they were just willing to sell off for other things. And another thing is, you gotta think about, if people were, if it was a narrative about people were stolen, right? How long do you think before people would just stop being stolen? Like, how long do you think before they realize, man, they just keep taking our people? And don't you think that there would actually be way more warfare? See, the reason
Yeah.
why it was not a wide scale warfare all the time, and where it was heavy casualties with the Europeans, is because it was a trade. See, if I trade
Mm-hmm.
you, if you get something for somebody, even if, I mean, you take that, and then you don't go to war with me because there was an exchange. you know and I recognize that there were wars, and there were tribes and people that fought back, and honest to them, and but at the end of the day, it was still a trade. So somebody has to take culpability. And as the people who were descended from the people who were, as Ali said, kicked out, or who just don't have any attachment to that place anymore because we were sold. We have every right to express, our grievances or our dissatisfaction with that. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't push back. That's what having a gripe about that. And look, we're just bringing out the fact. We're bringing out the fact, and that those facts are not going to change behind how people feel about it, and it's not going to change
Mm-hmm.
behind the narrative that people may have been brought up. Just because you were brought up and to believe in a certain narrative, that's not changing the fact of how that the situation. It's not even going to change. Like, just because you weren't thinking about it logically to understand the logistics and understand the tactical feasibility of that. That's not on us. We here to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
like my brother right here, Logic. We here to deal with logic. So that's a great transition to you, bro.
Yes, definitely. What I want to really say about the whole Pan-African thing, right? We was in some discussions earlier. It's when we trying to do something for ourselves, right? We have to stay laser focused, mission focused, right? Pan-Africanism, in and of itself, culturally, okay. What we have to understand as reparationists, as people who are coming into our own in our political identity, we got to understand that in this moment, we've been so used to being a people that has been so concerned with acceptance from people outside of our group. being accepted by the Africans, being accepted by the whites here in America, being accepted by everyone. We need to be accepted because of a long history of being cut off and excluded and separated, right? So we have kind of vicarious, not even vicarious, but kind of subconsciously been doing this with everything that we do. But now, as a group in this moment who is taking time to focus on us, think about us, advocate for us, and saying, no, we know who we are. We know who we are, and we know that we are not everyone else. We know the difference. So knowing that, the people around the world have seen us be this super accepting, super embracive, care about everybody type of people. Don't get it twisted. They know that we're the most loving, the most caring, and than you can ever imagine, right? So now that we're saying, you know what, we're doing everything we've done for America, everything we've done for Africa, everything we've done for everyone else, we're going to stop and we're going to do that for us. You see people having a reaction to it. Even the pan-Africanists who happen to be native to this country, you know what I'm saying, who happen to have a familial sojourn through chattel slavery and all that, they even feel this way too because of the effects of Afrocentrism, the shame attached to our history and things of that nature. But now that with movements centered around who we are have kind of broken the shackles of that shame on our history, now we are owning and controlling our narratives, and now we're speaking up for self. This is a do for self political moment. We're doing for self politically. So all you do for selfers in that space, why are you mad at us? Because we're doing for self, right? Politically, as a group, right? So now you have a natural reaction of everyone who has been able to come in and hook into us and be able to use us as a launching pad because we're so embracive. Now that we're saying, you know what, we need to do for self, you see reactions, you see problems. And it's a problem. They don't like that. You understand? So we have to understand with this pan-Africanist thing is that pan-Africanism is not going to solve the problems in America.
That's right.
It's not. And the pan-Africanism has a psychological detriment because it has you looking everything with an Afro-centered perspective. But you don't live in Africa. You live in America. Your history is an American story. So you need to have an American-centered perspective as your specific group. To have a specific group, like having an Afro-centered perspective when you're an American is just as dangerous as having a Eurocentric or a European perspective.
That's right.
When you live in America. If the center of your world is where you're at,
that's
not
right.
where someone else is at. So you need to frame the things that you advocate for, that you look for, from your vantage point, which is right here at home. So now we have an American-centered perspective through our history, through our heroes, all of that. Now people have a problem with that because we want to talk about Hiram Revels, Prince Rivers, Robert Smalls, Harriet Tubman, with all these great heroes, right? We want to talk about them, but they want us to talk about Mansa Musa and Shaka Zulu and all their heroes and their ancestors, right? That they still have connections to. We don't have connections to that. We're connected to the greatest American history that there is. We don't need pan-Africanism. We need a true Americanism because we are the true Americans. I know a lot of y'all don't understand that because you've been taught that Americanism ain't for you and that America wasn't built by you and built for you. But see, through the criminal enterprise of chattel slavery and other atrocities of violence and deception, you've been tricked into giving America up. And now you don't even want to fight for it after all our family members have died for it. All your the great uncles and great grandfathers and grandmothers bled and died for the country. Not only through slavery, but in the formation of the country. You understand? When they was forming the union that preceded the United States of America, that preceded the Republic. That union was formed with our ancestors. We were on the original 13 colonies, at least 5 of them out of the original 13. our ancestors were on the boards and the committees that ratified the document, that ratified the Constitution of this country. So we were so mental and so hands-on with building this thing. And so because there was a treachery that took place, and because there was a criminal operation that took place, that don't mean we give up our legacy. But we have given up our legacy and taken on and championed a foreign legacy that's really only telling half the story. Because like they was talking before I got on, the African part of your history has trade connected to it. So they want you to be ashamed of the slavery, but not of the trade, the tradery that went on. You understand? There was a treachery that preceded us being in slavery here. The treachery was us being traded for gold, rum, guns, so on and so forth by our kinsmen.
Wait, you did say trade. You didn't say stolen.
It wasn't stolen. It wasn't no theft. It was a criminal operation. We're criminals. You understand? Where they traded in exchange. They exchanged, shook hands even, and said good business, and created enterprises with the same Europeans that we're fighting against today. We're business partners with those same Africans that want us to take on this Pan-African ideology and this Pan-African thinking. You understand? Now you can feel some type of way about that if you want to, but if you're concerned with justice and you're a decent individual, you'll just accept the truth and try to work for some type of reconciliation and some type of resolution for that. But what y'all want us to do is to have a situation to where you are using our pain and our shame of our history to try to say, well, you can just borrow my history when I want you to worship me. You understand? So now you worship in Africanism and not Americanism. So now you can't even look to yourself with greatness. But see, here's the thing. We're done with that. We're done with that. We are doing for self now. The Pan-Africans need to understand that if y'all feel like we're taking on this attitude of y'all think y'all better than us, well, guess what? When it comes to being American, we are better than you. We're the best Americans that they are. And we should not tiptoe through the tulips or pussyfoot around with that fact. You don't know nothing about freedom fighting like we know about freedom fighting in America. You don't know nothing about racism in America and fighting against racism in America like the freedmen and the descendants of the freedmen know about fighting against racism in America. We are the best freedom fighters in the history of mankind. You understand? When we talk about fighting against the system of racism and white supremacy, you haven't seen no one make the advancements in the belly of the beast like our ancestors have and like we're continuing to do. So don't come telling me Pan-Africanism is the way when y'all haven't even met the same standards of liberation that we've met here in America. Y'all still dealing with colonialism where the oppressor like you, and you're over there oppressing yourselves out of the system of colonialism. You ain't even learned how to defeat that. And you want to come over here and tell us how to defeat this when we've made more progress here than you've made there. So we don't need Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism needs us. And without the Black American, there is no Pan-Africanism. We're the only ones who've been serious about Pan-Africanism around the world almost the entire time the damn ideology has been in existence. It was the father of Pan-Africanism was an American. You understand that? You understand that?
That's right.
Y'all got my brother in here on fire right now. You need that Angela Nirvana fan right there to cool yourself down, brother.
And understand something, man. You know what's
rising off your shoulders right now.
You know what's crazy about what's being said is a couple of things about the stolen piece. At the time that this trade started to happen, you had a couple of empires in West Africa. You had Mali and you had Songhai. These were two very powerful empires. Wasn't nobody stealing anything from those people. Nobody was stealing nothing from the Mali Empire or the Songhai Empire.
I want you to go in. I'm about to put the chat in the link for the link in the chat for the brother.
No doubt. And at the same time, remember, we got emancipation, 13th Amendment, 1865. And that right behind that, what happens? The carve up of Africa. The Europeans go into Africa and completely take that thing and dissect it and colonize it into their particular provinces and everything else, right? So while we got emancipated 1860, colonialism was then taking hold of Africa. You see what I'm saying? So while we got emancipated, colonialism took hold of Africa. Look up the carve up of Africa when that happened. You'll see that comes after the 13th Amendment, 1865. But go ahead.
No, well, we sent the brother the link. Lab Tech 1. I think that's the way he said how he pronounces his name. He took issue with the post on Twitter. It was a quote from my brother Logic. We was building earlier. You know, we have our little bills early in the morning. If we could record some of those joints and throw them up on a podcast, man, I'm telling you, those joints would be.
Hey, we was doing Clubhouse before. We've been saying from at least a year or longer than that. Y'all was probably saying it was longer than that. But if we could just have our conversations where everybody can hear and maybe chime in from time to time. But we was doing Clubhouse before it was a Clubhouse. So hey, just wait. Everybody be on there soon.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So you know, tonight was, you know, we just wanted to get on here and talk a little bit and get into some of these topics, man. My bros is on in the Clubhouse. I'm kind of, you know, I'm missing out right now. I don't have an iPhone or an iPad. I'm trying to figure out ways how to switch without it costing me an arm and a leg. But I hear that thing is popping. So, you know, the brother said he has to download Chrome. So if y'all want to get into, you know, you and Josh want to get into some of the conversations that y'all have been having and what's that thing about? What is the potential of this thing and how it'll be useful insofar as reaching broader audiences, particularly the political audience?
Well, you know, I think the app is going to be an amazing asset and really kind of transforms the way we communicate and get the message across. Personally, you know, communicating in that way is better for me, right? And the conversations are able to flow smoother there than they are on, say, Twitter or Facebook or something like that, because you're actually having a discussion with people live from everywhere and anywhere, and you can hear the same. And so many things aren't lost in translation when you communicate in this way, because I'm not reading it how I perceive the words. I'm able to hear your tone, your inflections, and all of that good stuff. And you're able to explain yourself right there. And we don't have to wait while I'm imagining what you really mean, right? So I think a lot of confusion will be cleared up if once people start really using this app. But it's, to me, I think it's going to, the best usage of it is going to be it's going to be another great educational tool for Be the Power, right? The way that we're going to organize, we're going to be on there giving, like, having leadership discussions and like really getting in tune with the people in the various localities in which they reside and where they work. We're about to take this thing to the next level. You understand? And like Clubhouse is right on time for that, because it has given us the way to communicate effectively with a lot of people and spread the message better right in the time in which we needed it. So there's so many hot topics on Clubhouse right now. I only been on it for a couple of days. Me and my brother Josh, we've been on there for a couple of days. There've been so many good discussions. It's like literally anytime you go on there, it's going to be a good discussion.
I know y'all been quiet in the back room. I was like, yeah, these dudes is on that app right now. Yeah. I was like, the phones ain't ringing like they used to. I'm like, yeah, they on that app right now.
Clubhouse is the new phone, man. I'm telling you now. And everybody, I need to get on there. We'll have a club soon. Don't worry. The Be the Power Club will be in full effect, where we will be giving out the best political education that you can get in real time. That's what it's really about. People are out here starving for leadership. They're so thirsty for this. Like there was like, and you were able to talk to people who like to hide on their laptops and like that. You can't do that in Clubhouse. Like there was actual in the one conversation today, there was actual a couple of the Black Lives Matter leaders, like some of the real leaders in the organization, like on the chat in the conversation, and people was able to question, confront, and have a great discussion. And like that's going to take this thing to the next level, right? If you want, what I've got out of my couple of days of listening to people's concerns and questions is that people are trying to get to the next level. And if you want to go to the next level, you need next level leadership, right? You need next level leadership because everybody is not meant to take you everywhere, right?
Right.
Everybody's not meant to take you everywhere. Sometimes you got to understand when you're ready to go to the next level, you have to go with the leader that can get you there. So that's like the sentiment that I've gotten from the public. That's been the tone I'm hearing. People are thirsty for instruction. They want to be organized. And that's a very miraculous thing that people are actually wanting to be organized. The call for more organization is like, wow, people really want organization right now. That's powerful, family. And we have to become that and manifest that. And the only way you can do that is by becoming a next level leader. Leaders empower others. You understand? Leaders empower others. So if your leader, if your leadership are not empowering you to take charge where you live, if your leader's not asking you, like, how am I influencing you, and wanting real honest feedback from you, then you need another lead. That leader can't take you to the next level. You need a leader that's going to challenge you and empower you and help you get things accomplished. You understand? Not someone, see, what a lot of times people just get hooked into inspirational leaders, right? Or informational leaders, someone who can inspire your feelings or intrigue your mind and get you excited that way. But you not have one who really has given you the power that you need to become a leader yourself. So you just stay needing to be empowered, needing to be stimulated intellectually and emotionally, but you don't have the power now to do what you need to do, where you need to do it at. We live all over this country. So education is key. Creating leaders is key. And BETHEPOWER is dedicated to building reparationists. Reparationists are leaders. We are political educators, because that's what you have to be in order to get this thing done. You have to find a way to educate, empower, and create more leaders so that we can get organizing to elevate to the level in which we need it to execute this mission.
Indeed. Josh, did you want to add anything? We got the brother Lab Tech 1 in the back room. I don't know if he's he's there, but it doesn't seem like he's there. But I'll add him. You have anything to add to that, brother Josh?
That's right, Brian.
Yeah. I would say, get the Clubhouse is powerful. I think it's going to change a lot as far as, I'm just envisioning different applications of it and how we can, like what we've been doing with the movement as far as American descendant slavery is, we've been disrupting everything. Like we didn't disrupted Kamala's, bid for the presidency. She kind of slid backdoor to the vice presidency. We didn't disrupt Biden's campaign. For a while. He was fifth. He was like fifth in polling at fifth place before Clyburn saved him, and before everybody else dropped out. And I guess Obama and got everybody else to drop out and get behind him. And we disrupted the ability of like the Negro whisperers and mainstream news media, MSNBC and CNN and others. We disrupted them. So, and for the people that would say, well, it didn't look at Biden still got he still won the nomination in the party. He didn't do but so much, and black folks didn't vote down ballot like that. Okay, well, look, what I'll say to that is, you can see how much disruption a group with $0 then had, other than little donations or whatever people make until they the people that's pushing the messages out on YouTube, like BETHEPOWER and you know, Sister Yvette and you know, Brother Tone and others, you know, and group people in the local chapters and a lot of people around the country. So you seen what the a few dollars and done. You didn't see how a few dollars influence even policy on the local level, right? And then you compare that to hundreds of millions of dollars that came through other so-called Black organizations, and you don't see any policy passed from that. You know, you don't see any proposed policy. You know, and I would say what the application we can use, how we can use Clubhouse is like this venture picture that when politicians have to start engaging on the platform, and it's not the same where you can just come on and on a YouTube video, on a Zoom, and you got everybody just in the chat. No, now when people show up, well, let's say BETHEPOWER show up in your room, and all the people are gonna be like, well, I want to hear what Brother Logic got to say about this. Can you bring Brother Logic on as a speaker? Because I would like you to talk to him. You know, when people say, well, shoot, I want Brother Ali, I want Brother Naheem to have something to say about what you're talking about. See, it changes the situation, because it's not just going to be the people silent while people talk to us. And no, you're going to have to engage with us, or you're going to face some consequences. So it's a whole lot of good application that I see how we can further be disruptive and take the disruptive strategies to influence more people, influence elections further on. And we're going to strategize, and all of it's not going to be televised. So just understand that.
Right.
All right.
Is so the brother in?
We're going to bring him in, and we're going to let the brother make his case. All right, brother Lab Tech 1.
Peace. Can you hear
me? We hear you. You are now rocking with the best. What up, bro? What's good?
Peace. Yeah, it's been interesting. I've been hearing a few things that I would say are probably common in the perspective that I hold and the rite of passage I belong to, but I think that there's also kind of a disconnect, I would say, within the bigger picture. And as I said to you on Twitter, my exact comment was that analysis was shallow and perhaps childish. Correct?
Yes, you did.
The analysis that and I don't like, I'm a person that likes to quote things. I don't like to freestyle too much unless it's rap. So let me go back to that exact tweet so that way no one is misconstrued. So the quote was, "We wasn't stolen from Africa. We were traded for goods by other Africans."
Okay. What's wrong with that?
And my response to that is, and I'm reiterating what exactly was the contention that we had. So I said, this is a shallow, perhaps even childish analysis. It's like saying Negroes that sell drugs are the reason for poverty and genocide in Negro communities. You need people that are smarter than you in your cipher.
Yeah, right? The BTP crew ain't smart enough.
Well, I didn't say. Well, that goes for everybody. Wait a minute. Hold on. That applies to everyone. See, that wasn't an insult. That was a statement of fact.
Okay.
So in any event,
but it was said to me on a thread. But I understand. Go ahead, brother.
You understand. So and when you say someone's smarter than you, no one's an expert on everything.
Fact.
So therefore, you could be a biologist. That doesn't mean you know nuclear physics.
All right. So
to get to my point, because I've listened for like an hour and 15 minutes, right? So I'm not gonna hold you, but
38
my
minutes.
issue is this concept that enslaved African people were not stolen. It's kind of ironic, because if we deal with just simple logic, no pun intended, we acknowledge the fact that to trade something, right, would suggest ownership. Otherwise, you're dealing in stolen goods. If I break into your house and I steal a TV set and then I take it to the pawn shop and get money for that, that does not change the status that I never had ownership. I had possession. You dig? So when we understand African cultural paradigms, First and foremost, you have to understand the concept of private property. That's a European concept. The idea of drawing boundaries on the ground, invisible lines that determine who owned what. That's not an African or any other indigenous people concept. That's European.
Okay,
That's
wait.
Capitalism.
Hold on.
Yeah, you kind of going around.
If you bear with me, I promise I won't take an hour to make my point.
I mean, you.
Well, let's stop. Let's not. Hold on.
I haven't even made my point, so I guess this is what I was afraid of. I'm willing to listen as long as I speak. But if I can't get 90 seconds,
mute up. Listen, brother. Conversations, like, we're not here to lecture each other. We want to have a conversation, right? So if we just allow you to talk and get everything out, we're not. We have to have.
I just asked for 90 seconds at a time.
But hold on.
Is that too much? Or
no,
yeah, that's too much.
Hold on. A minute and a half ain't too bad. I just want to add something though, right? First and foremost, this time is valuable on our show. We can't just have you using it all willy-nilly now. Now you came in and you made a statement saying that we weren't stolen, we were traded was childish. Now you have to talk to that. Now you got 90 seconds to speak to how it's childish. Let's go.
As I was saying, so once you understand the concept that within any African cognitive framework or way of thinking, the people belong to the people, meaning your ethnicity. There's the tribe, that's more Eurocentric trash. So therefore, if I'm a Dogon, I belong to the Dogon. I belong to the ancestors and the future children. So a Dahomey does not have ownership over me to trade me unless I am stolen from my people. It's very simple. It's very simple. So again, I didn't even take 30 seconds. So and that's why I don't like doing this stuff.
Like, we don't have to do this. What you're talking about is that what you're saying is that other Africans stole other Africans. No one said that the things that were traded were owned by anyone. You interjected that concept all on your own.
Nobody said that.
I can trade anything that I want. The question of how I acquired these things is not what we're talking about. When you have war, when you have raiders, you want to talk about how we got traded? Let's talk about it. We're talking about Africans using humans for trade as commodities to use to trade for other commodities with European enemies. That's what we're talking about. So you want to trivialize over the term traded, not stolen, because we're talking about specifically the story of the Europeans stealing us. And I think you're intelligent enough to know what we was getting at, that the narrative that these Europeans came to Africa and just had their way all up and down the west coast of Africa, just stealing people and running off. You know, that's the common narrative. And you know, that's what we're speaking to, because you've shown that you're intelligent enough to know that. But what we're taught, so if you want to get into how the Africans traded other Africans, we can talk about how the domination and the oppression of African imperialism on other Africans and how they come through and took us from their kinsmen and their countrymen, and the inferior ones and the weak ones took them and traded them to the Europeans. So we can have that conversation if you want. But at the end of the day, those stolen humans were traded. But they weren't stolen. If you want to call them stolen, they weren't stolen. People call them kidnapped. The Africans did that. So don't leap over that. While you're trying to correct us about the stolen part, don't leap over that the Africans did that. And what they stole was our ancestors. Right. And then they used them and traded them. Right? They traded them for guns, rum, muskets, gunpowder, things of that nature. It was an exchange similar to the stock exchange, but it wasn't for currency. It was for other things. What it is, man. So there's nothing childish about knowing that knowledge and understanding that history. What's childish is trying to cover up the African role of what the Africans did to the Africans, you understand? And we can get specific down to which empires and which actors were involved in that, but we don't have to, because we get the point. And the people that follow this program, they're intelligent people, and they get the point. Back to you, Naheem.
We brother Lab Tech One, unmute yourself, brother, and I'm gonna give you a chance to respond, and because we've yet to hear you prove the rebuttal that you tried to give to the tweet, you know, basically what we said didn't make sense. Basically, if you sum it up,
it's actual historical fact, man.
Yeah, and the fact that we brought up this actual historical fact is somehow childish, a petulant thing to say. So I want to give you the opportunity to come on. You can unmute yourself, brother, and just if you can explain to us how it's childish.
90 seconds.
90 seconds.
Yeah, go.
You got to unmute yourself, brother.
You got to unmute
I never
yourself.
muted myself to begin with.
Oh no, I had to mute you.
So I got to unmute myself. Oh, okay.
No,
so you got 90 seconds. You said 90 seconds uninterrupted.
Before, the original statement was we wasn't stolen from Africa. We were traded for goods by other Africans. It was a childish statement because regardless of the trade that occurred after the theft of life, there was still a process where human beings were stolen. That is as simple as it gets. You have
That's a funny argument.
If you deal in stolen goods, anybody from the hood knows you steal a car and sell it. Okay, you trade it for something, usually money, but it's still stolen. Meaning, if you don't own it, if you're suggesting Africans traded their own children, now that's a different concept. But when you talk about the Dahomey specifically and the people of Benin, who specifically went into the interior and waged war to kidnap other Africans and then to trade them for guns, rum, combs, and other items, you're still dealing with human beings that were stolen from their people.
Let me interject.
That's not 90 seconds. Let me get 30 more.
I made the point.
Go ahead, brother.
I made the point. So that was why, in my opinion, unless we address, and that's surface, that's not even like going into the depths of it. But the most common thing is to understand that human beings on the continent of Africa before European interaction, no one owned anyone. Even if you were a so-called slave, you were absorbed into a community. So this idea of chattel or being a commodity or object is not indigenous to that continent. So therefore, anyone that participates in the idea that they could sell another human being would have to steal that person from the people they belong to.
We get all of that,
brother Ali.
So that's why I said it was childish.
We get all of that. We've heard that.
That's why I said it was childish.
The fact that and shallow. Understood. It's not childish. But let me show you how it's not childish and shallow. Because the people who stole other people, the stealing occurred on the continent. What you're talking about as being stealing occurred on the continent. These were intra-tribal or ethnic group battles that were occurring where people were being taken from one group and held by another group on the continent. So when someone says that Black people were not stolen from the continent, they were in fact traded, that's exactly what happened. If you're going to say the people on the continent were were stealing people from other groups and using them for whatever purposes within their ethnic group, then that's one thing. That's on that continent. But from the continent to the Americas, what happened was there was a trade. You can't get around that, brother. Everything that you said had nothing to do with changing the fact that the people were traded by African people with European people in exchange for things. Come on, bro. Let's not dance around that fact. It is what it is. It's a simple, straight to the point fact. You can't change the history because you don't like it. You can't change the history because you don't like it.
Okay, respectfully.
That's the bottom line. You can't change the history because you don't like it, bro. It is what it is.
I can respectfully disagree. I can say that within your statement, it becomes a matter of semantics because the initial comment was we wasn't stolen from Africa. Okay, that's the point. But let me say this. Let me clarify something.
They were traded.
He just spoke. Now I can't speak.
I'm glad you restated.
This is what I knew was going to happen when dude told me to come on the show. I knew it. I knew it. That's why I was like, I don't want to do this because it's not productive.
Mute the brother out.
I'll just
so look, right. This is an interesting thing he said. He said we were wrong because we were saying Africans wasn't stolen from Africa. He is still affirming our position because what he said. Africans were stolen in Africa.
I'm just laughing, right?
So we never said that they weren't stolen in Africa. If there was a theft in Africa, but the trade that got them across the ocean was a trade. It was a trade. Theft. So the brothers bugged out.
It was a trade. You can't change that.
You can't change that. And
like,
the
look, bro, you know what it is, man? Dudes.
Look,
dudes want to do these emotional, verbal gymnastics, trying to play with words to try to make it seem like, you know, something didn't happen that actually happened. You're emotional because you're emotionally attached to this whole Afrocentrism thing, this whole pan-Africanism thing that ain't even real. You're emotionally attached to it. And so you want to try to flip and do all of this flavorful stuff with words, talking about the people was stolen. Yeah, it was African people stealing other African people, if that's what you want to call them, African people. They were stealing each other. What you just explained, and then the people that had possession of them traded them with European in exchange for different things. So don't try to say that the trade didn't happen from Africa to the Americas, because that's exactly how the people got from Africa to the Americas, by way of a trade. You trying to play with words, acting like somebody don't understand, and somebody's childish and foolish and shallow because you emotionally attached to something that didn't really happen the way that you trying to pretend that it happened.
Let me
go ahead, bro. My bad.
Brother, was he you know, a native Black American? Was
he jumped back in, but I want to speak to something that he said, right? He said that the concept of chattel wasn't known on the African continent, right? So when we're dealing with chattel, we're dealing with usually in the way that it has come to be used as ownership in other human beings. Correct?
We might have to start getting into definitions on people, bro, because they think they're gonna play with words. We don't play that.
Not here.
We don't play that.
So if even if he's gonna say, well, maybe there was some stealing intra-Africa, then you still moot out your own point when you say that this idea of chattel in Africa didn't exist, because really to steal something from someone implies that the thing that is being stolen is owned by someone else. So if there is no chattel, as the brother said, then you can't even make the case that there was African stealing within the continent. There were wars and there were prisoners taken. And when the Europeans came looking for the Moors with the curly hair, because I could go to a whole bunch of sources if I want to. I ain't going to do all of that. They were brought to these rulers and leaders and clerics, and they said, well, we have these prisoners, and what will you give us? And they gave the Africans a whole bunch of things: ammunition, alcohol, weapon, all type of weaponry. I mean, you know, different foodstuffs, et cetera, et cetera. So this was in fact the trade. The prisoners weren't property of the rulers. They were simply captives of the ruler. These Africans did not become property until they got to America and became chattel. So let's bring the brother back on, and hopefully he could contain. I don't like from trying to speak over us when we talk. I got you in the room, brother.
Please. Look, I mean, for me, it's real simple. Like, to even have a discussion, you got to agree to listen, or it's not a discussion. So it's not lecturing anybody. I came on because the brother asked me that I want to come on and discuss it. This isn't like something that I needed to do. I chose to do it. So the whole point that I come back to, if I say something is shallow, that doesn't mean it's wrong. Okay. What I'm saying is the shallow analysis, it negates the fact that, number one, and I was trying to go point for point, but I was only able to get to the first fundamental point, which is the brother, I guess, Naheem, mentions this concept of chattel. So you mentioned prisoners of war. Well, a prisoner of war, as you said, is a prisoner. A prisoner is not an object that you own. You can detain someone. That does not mean you own them, okay? So that in and of itself, you are affirming my point. But the deeper level of analysis that I'm trying to make here is that, first of all, you had Moorish colonization of the Iberian Peninsula for 800 years. So there were so-called Black people, if you want to use American terminology, or Moors, if you want to go a little deeper into the history, that were all over Europe at that time. Okay. So even in the process of building Elmina in 1444, there were people that looked like us that were a part of that process. Juan Garrido, the person that discovered Mexico before Estevanico, was a Black man. So my point, this is the extended analysis of why it was shallow. The first one I started with was that African people don't believe they own each other. They believe that the idea of ownership belongs to God. So that was the beginning. The other part of it is to address this fact. You have 800 years of colonization of Europeans by Black people. Black people were a part of the slave trade on the continent of Africa, yes, but they were also a part of it in Europe. These are the elements that I made the initial statement, it was shallow. I'm not disagreeing with the fact that there's culpability and accountability for those Africans that were contributing to the triangular trade, because it was a triangular trade. I never disagree with that. I never said that wasn't my point of view. My initial statement was that it was a shallow analysis. Why?
Okay.
Because, and just give me 20 seconds and I'll shut up.
Go ahead, brother.
I promise you. My initial statement of it being shallow is because there's only one purpose in addressing history for Black people at this point, and that is to develop resolutions to the problems in the present moment. Okay. So ultimately, you will have compromised people that share your phenotype that work against you. And this has been the case since the Greeks first came into the Nile Valley. It has never stopped.
Okay.
You're all over the place, man. All over the place, bro. God, dog.
Two things right before you go, Logic. I just want to, two things. First thing I want to say is, brother, and maybe it's my own bias, right? But I haven't heard you prove the shallowness nor the childishness of what was said.
That's an opinion. You can't.
And you're right. That's why I prefaced what I said with maybe I'm biased. You can't ask people to listen and you don't listen, brother. Now, the second thing I want to ask you is, like, what is your background? Where are you from? Are you an American? Like, is your family from Africa? You know, what is your background?
I mean, all of our families are from Africa.
You know what I mean.
My family on the plantations of South Carolina and North Carolina. My great-great-grandfather came from South Carolina to Baltimore in 1890.
Okay.
My family's been in Baltimore since 1890. I know my lineage, bro. You see, this is the thing. You got to be humble.
Now stay focused. It was a simple question. It's a simple question.
You said
stay focused, dude. You answered the question satisfactorily. We don't have to go into this other thing, man. Come on now. Come on, yo.
Okay. All right. So Pete, right?
You answered the question. It was a great answer. Let's move forward.
Yeah, check it out, right? So before you got off the first time, you said that you disagreed with and thought it was shallow, that you said that the statement, well, for one, if you thought it was shallow, before you came up with that assumption, you should have asked, and can you contextualize this for me, brother? What do you mean by this, brother? Can you explain a little bit before you thought you knew what the brother was really talking about when he's made that statement? Because without context, you don't know what he's really getting at. Now, you made a lot of assumptions there. Now, two, you said that you disagree that Africans were stolen from Africa, right? That was the statement. Africans weren't stolen. They were traded, right? So you said that you disagree with that. But all of the stealing of people that you were talking about happened in Africa. You didn't provide one example where an African was stolen from Africa and taken to America, right? Stolen from Africa and taken and brought to America, right? You said they were stolen in Africa, and then you agreed that they was traded to Europeans, and then the Europeans brought them to America, right?
And the story.
So you didn't prove us wrong in that regard. You kind of just
I'm not trying to be funny.
End the story.
Question, or is this a question? Or
no,
you're being taught right now, brother.
I haven't asked any question. So, and then
what am I being taught? You're telling me what I meant, and then that's the lesson.
I'm telling you what you said. You said you disagree with
He's
what
telling you exactly what you said, brother.
Yeah, you said that Africans weren't like that. I was wrong or childish in making the statements.
We're gonna be right and exact. What did I start with? I said I'm a person that deals with exact quotes. What I said specifically,
shallow and childish.
This is a shallow, perhaps even childish analysis. And even in that, hold on, I didn't say I disagreed. I said it was shallow. There's a difference.
But you didn't even get the context of the statement. So how do you know that?
I absolutely know the context and everything you said, because everything you've said, this is not a new idea.
No, but you don't know what the conversation was about. The brother just explained before he said it that it was a conversation that me and the brothers was having in private. You wasn't there. You don't know what we was talking about when we said that. And he said he wanted to make that post, and he made the post. You thought you knew what the conversation was.
You just explained it. You explained it for 40 minutes.
Oh, wow. So let me ask you another question.
So what do we disagree about? Let's be clear, because I've been told that I'm being taught. What is it
now
that
we need to know what we disagree about. Now we need to know.
Disagree about.
Come on, man.
So you said your ancestors is in South Carolina. Am I wrong? South Carolina?
South Carolina.
Before that, the Senegambia.
All right, no, but I want to know about the South Carolina part.
Right.
All right, so when you had the South Carolina hit lineage knowledge. When you was on first, your avatar was of an African sculpture. Why wasn't it of like Prince Rivers or Robert Smalls or one of the great Black American heroes who are so important to our lineage and history? Specifically, South Carolina, Prince Rivers might be the greatest Black man ever born in the state. Why not have a picture of him? Why have some African sculpture?
Because that's my choice. I mean, that's a weird question.
That's why I asked you why you chose.
Because I chose to. But the significance, do you want to know? You're asking questions, so I guess I can answer?
I guess, can you?
Of course. So for me, I'm a Black social theorist. So I deal with Black consciousness as the cognitive framework, Black collectivism as the moral and social code, and holistic Pan-African as the universal and global political agenda. All right? There's a micro and a macro. I live in Baltimore City. I live in a city, well, technically not anymore, but the 7th largest predominantly Black city in America. So the day-to-day work that I do for my people is in my community.
Do you know
who however, my network is global. People from New York, people from LA, people from Florida, people from Georgia, people from Michigan, people from Mali, people from Burkina Faso, people from Ethiopia, because the global network.
That's why you have the picture.
I start with this. I start with David Walker.
Hey, is that why you have the picture?
With David Walker. Hold on, real quick.
Do you know who Prince Rivers or Robert Smalls is?
I definitely do know who Robert Smalls. I'm not familiar with Prince Rivers, but I'll say this real quick. I start with David Walker. What's up with David Walker? Okay, so David Walker as coming after Denmark Vesey, okay, when he wrote his appeal to the colored people of the world, but more specifically to those in America, and I'm paraphrasing the title, but the idea from that document in 1829 was to say that we have a micro problem here in the United States, but that problem transcends and becomes global. Why? Because all the technology that we're using right now takes these natural resources from the continent that our ancestors came from. Now, can two things be true? Can I work in Baltimore City with safe streets, with
all this about
all these after-school programs? Can I do that?
Hold on. I just muted his mic.
What is he on, man? You see what we talking about, people? I asked him why he had the African sculpture. He talking to me about everything under this. Why he talking about I know my lineage, but he probably related to Prince Rivers. He don't know his lineage that damn well. Prince Rivers is the greatest Black man ever be born in South Carolina. The brother talking about he know his lineage, but he got some African sculpture up there heralding someone else's greatness, talking about my family in Africa. If he comes back on, I want some cousins and some uncles and some aunties that you know in Africa. I want cousins, aunties, uncles in Africa that you know. that you've been connected to this whole time since slavery, you can go back and say, yo, this is my family's home here. This is my family's land. Do track your lineage all the way back to Africa for me, and let me know who your peoples is over there. You know what I mean? I don't want no DNA tests. I want family. Call Baba and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And I want. Where is it? Tell me. All of my family is from Mississippi and Georgia, and then they moved to Chicago. You understand? That's where my family is from. I don't know about none of that other stuff you're talking about.
All right, look. Well, I'm a brother Lab Tech One.
I would like to hear. I would like to hear where he's going. I would like to hear where he's going.
I'm gonna unmute you. Hold on. Lab Tech One. Look, I know you trying to come on and get your points across. When you're on other people's platform, if you go back and watch my debate with my son, it's on his channel. I know that I'm on that brother's platform. I've been doing this for years. And he kept cutting me off, and he kept going and going and going and going. And we're giving you good grace periods. You can't do run-on sentences here, because what happens is, if you're making 20 points, I can't necessarily get to the points that I want to touch on in the beginning, because you're going on for minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes. Then you're going into something else about your global network and all of these different things. And I'm not knocking
all that, yeah, but that's irrelevant to the point.
It's irrelevant.
The point was the word trade versus stolen. And we on to global networks and everything else, and Denmark VC and come on, man. Come on. Stop.
All right, so
but I would like to hear where he's going.
All right.
Because I want to respond too.
All right, brother Lab Tech One. Come on, bro.
I mean, I get it. I usually stay away from this stuff because I know in person this never goes the same way.
Oh well, we do.
I understand it's your platform. I get it. Bro, I understand. Why is everything so controversial? I get it. It's y'all stuff. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make a point without having to be so confrontational. It's not an emotional thing for me. For the most part, what the brothers have been saying, I agree with. From the beginning, I've listened to this whole show. I don't have fundamental differences of perspective at all. Okay, so let's clarify that. And I'm not. Oh my God, I can't even make the point.
You're making your point. You already made your point. You don't have any
part of the point. And I'm looking at the clock. That was 20 seconds.
The initial comment about shallowness and childishness.
I stand by that.
Okay, but our thing is, we haven't heard that yet.
But because that's your opinion. So what it comes down to is this, right? If we were to have a neutral discussion, meaning that you have a certain amount of time to make your point, I have a certain amount of time to make mine. Either we come to a mutual understanding to say, I see why you said that, or even after all points and facts have been presented, we can still disagree. Two things can be true.
Okay,
right?
stop.
But my point remains. The reason I say it's shallow.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. Let's make it a back and forth conversation right now. Right. So, if we were to have a neutral conversation or neutral grounds with the time clock, you've already we don't, and I know I can speak for myself, and I probably could speak for the rest of my BTP brethren. We don't really agree with anything that you said here tonight, insofar as
anything.
The debate,
you don't agree with anything?
Hold on. Insofar as the debate topic is concerned, yet you have already said that you've fundamentally agreed with just about everything that we said.
That's the essence of saying something is shallow, bro. That's what I think you're missing. Because if I give you an analysis of something, it's just like when people say, well, black people need to stop killing each other. That's shallow. It doesn't address all the factors that make that a problem. That's what I mean. Do I disagree that we should stop killing each other? No, I don't disagree. But to say that in a vacuum, or even to explain it as it's been explained. Now, the dude Logic, right? I listened to what he was saying. There is, and here are the points that I agree with so we can be specific. The idea that black folks in America are the pioneers of pan-Africanism. That's true. There can be no pan-Africanism without black Americans. That is true. African people, to some degree, there's an accountability for what they had done in the slave trade. That is true. Okay? These points I can agree with. Now, his perspective on being American, I have issue with. Won't go into it, but I disagree with that. But these other points I agree with. Do people from Africa come here and condescend and try to exploit the work of these indigenous Black Americans that have done all these different things for 500 years? Yeah, they do. And that's a problem. And some of them are arrogant in their way of looking at us. I agree with that. But to reduce the triangular trade to simply Africans trading Africans, that is shallow in my opinion.
Okay, we have a question.
Who said that?
Okay,
Nobody said
I'm
that.
clarifying.
Go ahead.
These are points that he's.
That should have been a question.
Nobody said
You
that.
should have asked before
That's
you
right.
concluded that
That's
it was.
right.
You should have said, "Are you trying to capture the whole trade with this sentence?" You should have asked that question instead
It
of
was a
assuming.
definitive, though. In the original statement, it was a definitive. It said we wasn't stolen, wasn't being a contraction for was not.
What came after that?
It from Africa.
What
Okay.
else came after that?
Okay. Keep going.
We were traded for goods by other Africans.
Okay.
Okay.
You gotta read the whole entire statement.
Reading the whole entire statement. Okay, I'm riding with you.
Who takes a pieces of part of
No,
the
bro. Listen. I read the entire phrase. The part that was shallow was the fact that you said we wasn't stolen from Africa.
That's the part you had a problem with. That's the part that made
you. That's the issue.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what he's saying.
That's why I said it was shallow. Yeah.
That didn't make it shallow. That just got you
that's
and your
my
opinion.
opinion. I'm not looking to change what you feel or think.
I know it's your opinion.
I don't need to do that, but I've explained why I believe that was shallow. If you don't accept that, that's fine. I'm not mad at you. I don't have any animosity or malice.
Thanks for sharing that.
All right, thanks for coming through, brother.
Hold on, I got a question.
All right, go ahead, brother Josh.
Do you believe that let's just say, first off, would you consider yourself a reparationist?
But it ain't enough money in the world to pay that debt. We looking at realistically close to 700 trillion.
Okay.
Realistically, I'm just saying they don't have enough money in the world to pay us back. But yeah, I want of course. Who wouldn't?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, when you say there's not enough money in the world to pay that debt, don't you think that they should pay some of it?
Hell yeah.
Okay,
they should give us everything they got. Now that's me being idealistic. In an idealistic sense, idealistically, everything is ours. Everything.
Okay.
The air, everything.
Okay.
Meaning in this material world, in terms of all these natural resources that are used to make the world go round, right? Because of what we've done, we gave birth to capitalism through our free surplus value labor in the agrarian industrial complex of the Americas. Through these
but Josh, where you trying to go?
We made them rich. So everything they got came from our labor.
Okay.
No doubt. You're right. Where you trying to go, Josh?
Well, I was going to ask, let's say America does pay that reparations. Are you in opposition to us looking for some type of redress or
hell no. I'm 100%. That's not even.
Wait, you ain't let him finish. He's going somewhere.
I know the vibes, bro.
You don't know what he's saying.
You know the vibes.
He might.
He might know what you're saying and trying to cut you off before you say it. You heard?
I want to be able to say it. I mean, look.
Ask him.
What's up with some dual citizenship? What's up with some not no right to lease some land at exorbitant rates? What's up with some, land grants or whatever? Some case, like for example, if people come to America, they can get some type of accommodation.
I can't hear him.
You went low, Josh.
If people, I had a call come in. If people come to America as refugees, they get accommodations. They get out. They get money per month. They get kind of a protected status. But America didn't necessarily owe those people anything. America was kind of helping those people out. But if we want to look at nations that already apologized for selling us, shouldn't we look to them for something instead of them saying over the year return that we can come over and boost your economy with our tourism dollars? Don't you think that there should be some type of, if there's going to be some type of pan-Africanist you know, relationship where it has to be a reciprocal relationship.
Yes,
Don't
I
you think
agree. That's why
there
I
has to
said
be some
earlier,
type of healing or correction or something that we're owed from over there?
yeah, I agree with you. And that's why I said earlier, I mentioned a phrase, and I don't know if anyone caught it, but I said holistic Pan-Africanism, which is different than the brand of Afrocentricity, beads, cowrie shells, and kente cloth. I'm not talking about that. Okay, a holistic Pan-Africanism, first and foremost, you got to address this. They didn't get decolonized until just recently, a few years ago. So you're dealing with people that they're very intelligent. There's very bright African people. However, our struggle here in America is much more advanced. We've had longer to develop an understanding of our enemy. Okay, so many times in Africa, what you see is them emulating the colonizer at the highest level. Okay, so with that being said, you have debts to IMF and World Bank that they don't even control the land that they stand on. And this is an elite group, not the masses of people. We're talking about those that have the bank accounts in Switzerland. So these are complex issues that if we're going to address them, we have to deconstruct them piece by piece. Because if we bring it back to America, my issue is we all don't agree in America.
Hold on.
Candace Owens, let me just say this real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
We all don't agree. Some of us might be like-minded, even though we may disagree on details. But you have some, and it really comes down to this: assimilationist and desimulationist. You have some people that want to roll with white folks at all costs, and you have some people that want the freedom, justice, and equality for black folks. There's a line drawn, and if we determine that that's a global line, we'll find people all over the planet.
That's what I want to get to, brother. Hold on. So when you say $700 trillion and
it ain't that much money in the world,
you speak about, I mean, it's a number that you put out there though. And you speak about, you know, this global Pan-Africanism and holistic Pan-Africanism and the whole global problem. Are you saying $700 trillion for the descendants of American slavery?
I'm talking about those of us here in the wilderness of North America. I'm talking about in the United States. Now, Africa's reparation, on the continental reparation, that's something else. The South American reparation, that's something else too. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, this is why I said holistic Pan-Africanism. I'm not dealing with substance based on superficial clothing or renaming yourself after one of the thousands of dialects in Africa. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this idea that if we have a mother and we're all children, right? I have 9 siblings, right? So we all have the same mother, but we have different relationships with our mother. My oldest brother has a different relationship than I do, but that doesn't change that I have expectations. However, where I come into the equation, I deal with what I'm dealing with, which is what the brother Logic said. And I agree with him on that point about, you know, it's not about this Afrocentrism that you glorify Africa in a vacuum and then you ignore what's been done here in America. That's not it. Because to do that would be foolish. And that's why I said when I start with David Walker was the first to make a literary document to critique and deconstruct white supremacy. And from that point, we can move forward from 1829. I'm talking about literary, where we can go back and look at the work. And we can see through Edward Wilman Blyton and go to Marcus Garvey. We can go all the way through to this present moment and see that there's some holes in our game in America. In
Africa. Look, brother, look, we got to continue on with the program. Thank you for coming on, though, brother. I mean,
it's all good, bro.
Definitely.
It's Dr. Lab Tech one, by the way.
It's who?
Add that in there.
Say it again.
I said it's Dr. Lab Tech one.
Hi, Dr. Lab Tech one.
Outstanding. That's outstanding.
Yeah, good luck, Logic.
Thank you.
Good luck, man.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
I know you packing gymnasiums.
Facts.
All right, peace.
So hopefully I'll see you there one day. So one thing was interesting about the brother.
Some 10-ounce gloves. I'm just saying, but yeah, go ahead, bro.
I don't know what he was talking.
He just.
But you know, it's funny, man. The Pan-Africanists, they are really interesting people. And but do you see how scattered he is, right? That's the problem with
looking kind of choppy.
So scattered. You got all of this fighting against racism. He talking about holistic pan-africanism. He jumping all the way to we gotta do this is the banks in Switzerland, and you see that? We can't organize a refined movement
That's
under
right.
that type of
Mute out, Prime.
leadership. How can we have leadership like that? You see how hard that is? Come on, people. It's nonsense, man.
Right. And he was, I mean, definitely see that people, when they can't really qualify their statements, they gotta go all over the place trying to redirect the conversation into other things. It was very simple. The question is, were Africans traded from Africa or were they stolen? Are the people lying when they call it the transatlantic slave trade? Are they lying about calling it a slave trade or not? It's a yes or no thing, right? And either our people, our ancestors were traded from the continent to the Americas or they weren't, right? You could change it and say they were stolen, but the only evidence that he brought of any theft that occurred happened on the continent between the darker skinned people over there based on the wars that they were having or whatever conflicts or fights they were having and the prisoners that were taken as a result of that. Didn't prove anything. And there's nothing shallow or childish about telling the truth of what actually happened. We didn't, like I said, we're not the ones who came up with the term the transatlantic slave trade. We didn't put the word trade in there. Somebody else put that in there long before any of us came into the picture. So I don't understand. Like, this is why I say you can't change the history because it makes you uncomfortable. You can't change what happened because you don't like the way it sounds or makes. That's not how that works. That is not how that works at all.
Man got 30 minutes.
You from South Carolina and you don't know. First of all, I love all of our brothers and sisters that follow us on Far Education. You've heard us mention Prince Rivers again. If you're in the chat and you are from South Carolina, even if you're not from South Carolina, but if you're from South Carolina, you better know who Prince Rivers is the next time we have this program, because these are the type of standards that I'm going to have to start demanding of people who want to talk to us about Black liberation in America and call yourself someone fighting for Black liberation and whatnot in America. If you don't know the Black heroes, especially when you're from the damn state that they was born in and done some of the most historical work, some of the most heroic work for our people, then you can't talk to me. You want to talk to me? He spent 30 minutes talking about Africa. The man ain't spend 2 minutes talking about nothing American. But I disagree. Everything's from emotion with that whole American piece. What kind of nonsense? But you're still here in the place where my ancestors and Naheem's and Ali's and Josh and even that silly brother's ancestors, blood and bone built the damn country. But all you can talk about is Africa.
Exactly. Hey, Albert, can you do this for Dr. Lee? Can you pull up one of the articles where the African chiefs were apologizing for their people's roles in the transatlantic slave trade, please? Trade. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, the fact of the matter is the trade happened. People can keep talking about, oh, they were stolen, nobody volunteered. I don't care if they didn't volunteer. I don't care if they didn't volunteer. No, people don't volunteer to go to prison either. Nobody volunteers to go to prison, but they're considered property of the state. They're considered slaves of the state. Are you kidding? It ain't about volunteering and whether or not people, come on, man.
So this is why, like, we be the power, right? We focus on power. You understand? And until you, if you want to talk about liberation, freedom fighting, white supremacy, or anything else, you got to understand power. So all of that philosophical shit you're talking about, like, you can't own people. Yes, you can. You mind if I can control your every movement, when you eat, when you don't eat, when you live, when you die, I own you, fam. You don't have no power in your life. You breathing because I'm allowing you to breathe. That's ownership. That's the power to own you. You can talk all that God only owns people's stuff. And I don't know how you can speak and say Africans don't believe that. You don't know what every group of quote unquote Africans believe that God told them. So you don't have that much knowledge to say what every culture in Africa believe that God say they can and can't do. You don't know none of that. But whoever has the power to do it, is doing it. If they say they own you and you ain't got the power to show them that they don't, then they own you. Period. That's real. I own you and tell you what to do, but you in your mind saying he don't own me.
Ooh,
but I
Dr. Lily.
Come on, Dr. Lily. You go do that.
Dr. Lily. What
Dr.
you doing,
Lily,
Dr.
stop,
Lily?
yo.
What
Come
you
on,
doing?
man.
What are
Don't
you
do
doing
that.
here?
Take that comment down, man. That's embarrassing. Don't do
That is
that. Don't
embarrassing.
do that to the
Where
doctor.
was the exchange?
Oh man, come on, yo. Come on, man.
Hey, look. I mean, we had a good conversation tonight. I'm glad, you know, we were able to have this conversation. We wanted to touch on several different things tonight. Peace, Barn Dog D. I see you in the chat. Peace to my pops. The God of Law Forever is in the building. He's tuning in right now. You know, I want to just reiterate some things. We had a brother come on. He said that the statement that we weren't stolen from Africa, we were traded for goods by other Africans, was a shallow and childish statement. We gave this brother ample opportunity. We overextended. You know, usually I would have got him up out of here, to be honest with you. The bros, you know, you know what happened when the mouse come into a room full of cats. They're going to toy with him first before they rip him to shreds. So we toy with him a little bit, but we let the brother try to get his off. You know, the brother never made the point that anything that we said was shallow or childish. In fact, he agreed with us. He said that he fundamentally agreed with us. I mean, we didn't agree with him. If even the points of history that he made, even if it was historical, I disagree that it bolstered his point that anything that we said was childish or shallow, because it didn't. He's just trying to, I guess, show the extent of his pan-Africanist knowledge. And, you know, some people do that. So,
yeah, because he wanted to demonstrate, man. He came on and demonstrated, as we would have said back in the days. He did demonstrate that he came in and demonstrated, you know what I'm saying? But it's off, like, see, the thing is, people don't realize through all of that demonstration, they be off the point, right? The point was very simple. Show how telling the truth of the Atlantic slave trade is childish and shallow. Just show that, right? And that's something that he was not able to do. So we wind up talking about pan-Africanism and intertribal warfare, all of these different things. So what happens when you can't really stand on what you're saying and there's no real substance to that? You gotta go into all of this other stuff. But what's this?
And let's go into some other stuff. All right. So I have stuff like this just ready to pull up whenever it's needed, right? Because we have these conversations all the time. So let's talk about what were Africans traded for. So these are articles that have been compiled, right? The well-armed fort provided a secure harbor for Portuguese and later Dutch and English ships. Africans were either captured in warring raids or kidnapped and taken to the port by African slave traders. There they were exchanged for iron, guns, gunpowder, mirrors, knives, clothes, and beads brought by boat from Europe. That's an African captives yoked in Paris, a view of Calabar, and an Englishman taste of the sweat of an African. I'm sorry. Now hold on, let's go a little bit. Let's talk about a little bit something else, real quick.
Could I ask you something before you do that?
Talk to me now.
You use the word exchange. Now they might get stuck on that and say, see, they said exchange. They didn't say trade.
Well,
so maybe we need to make people know that exchange and trade are actually synonyms. Maybe that's something they need to look up just to be clear. But go ahead, finish making your point.
Okay, I like that. Let's use another term that's American that they understand. They know of the New York Stock Exchange, right? How are they exchanged? What stocks are traded every day? And who works at the New York Stock Exchange? Traders. All right.
That's right.
Let's get back to business. When Europeans arrived, this is African slavery lacked the notion that whites were masters and blacks were slaves, right? When Europeans arrived along the West African coast, slavery already existed on the continent. However, in his book, The African Slave Trade, Basil Davison points out that slavery in Africa and the brutal form of slavery that would develop in America was vastly different. We understand that. But yet, the concept of people owning slaves and people taking ownership of people was not. We're not talking about levels of brutality here. We're talking about the concept of whether you can own another human being, and that's right. Practice.
That's right.
Understand?
That's right.
A lot of people want to equate that to the type of brutality. Well, no, we still. So you can't say they didn't have. There was no African concept that only God can own people. You got Africans owning slave. Well, if they didn't think they owned them, what do you think they did? Did you think that their relationship was with these people? What did you think it was?
They was part of the family, brother. It was part of the family.
Right. So there's so many different things in this. Like, you should get to some of this stuff, right? There's a lot of good resources here. This is really breaking down a lot of information dealing with misconceptions about the slave trade, right? It lists all the sources, right, about the narrative of what we know. This is on PBS online. You can check this out. There's a whole lot of stuff, information, and people say, well, PBS, that's owned by the white man. But yeah, but they drop the sources so you can cross-reference and vet the information if you feel like it's propaganda or whatnot. So I just wanted to pull that up because we do that in real time, right? We don't just say stuff that
cap here.
You know what I mean? We can go to sources. And we can really deal with information. And if I felt like it was more was needed, we could definitely do an in-depth dissection of this whole entire topic. But I think that y'all understand and y'all smart enough to capture the shared understanding tonight. So that there's no need to beat this up. We got the facts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. But Brother Josh, what do you think about this discussion tonight, and why pan-africanists and pan-africanists and pan-africanism is a detriment to what we're trying to build insofar as political advocacy via political movements?
What I want to say is, I'm disappointed that they're not trying to be assets, to the Native Black American cause of getting justice. Like, when we say, when we talk about our claim and what we're owed and what we need, it shouldn't be any pushback. It shouldn't be any flattening of us. That's, to me, that's just, you might as well say all lives matter. It's along the similar lines. And when we're trying to do things that are actual and meaningful, and that actually deal with something in real life, not in a fantasy. And I think the problem is they're not. But I wanted to ask another question too. What happened to Macaroni Matt?
He was having a problem with the audio or something.
I see him down in the back room, but he's not. Let me see. Peace, what's going on, Mac? Can you hear us? He can't hear us.
Oh man. Yeah, I wanted him to talk about what he was
doing on the ground in New York.
Yeah,
you can hear him.
I want him to report live from the streets, man.
Yeah, this is one of our freedom correspondents that was on one of our earlier platforms.
Yeah, he been getting busy, man. He been out in the street heavy. He been out in the street heavy, man.
Yeah,
brother been on CNN. They had him up on CNN. Y'all seen that? All of that, man. He been in the street heavy. There was a girl running for city. I think she was running for city council in New York. And he was running with her.
I'll probably fix
Yeah. Go ahead, Ali.
Yeah, he was running with her, you know, as she was doing her campaign thing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think he's having a problem with the audio. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I kind of wanted him to talk about that. What does it say? Pan-Africanism was created by ADOS out of a longing for belonging. They don't practice that concept on the continent. Yeah.
Yo, there's an article, man. Hey, hold on. Let me see if I could find this article.
Yep.
Yo, so Pan-Africanism leads you to individuals that we just had on, where it's a scattered movement. It's all over the place, and it's like dogs trying to catch eagles. It's not going to make any sense. It's going to look crazy, and it's going to be impossible. What we have to focus on is our fight here in America. That's what's in front of us. That's what our legacy is tied into. Our lineage is tied into. Anyone who wants to start their debate off with two things can be right at the same time is trying to waste your time. You understand? That's a person who wants to, that's a time thief. He wants to steal your time and try to have you entertain their foolishness. No one has time for that, right? If two things are right at the same time, what are we talking about, bro?
Right. Then what is the beef?
Talking about, bro? Like
that was my position.
So it made no sense. Those are agents of confusion. They just want to be there to confuse things. We need leadership. The people are desirous of organizing at this moment. We need to get back. Let's regroup and let's understand we went to Africa. Now let's come back, right? And get back mission focused. This is about organizing. This is about leadership, building, right? Because every movement has to have a leader. A lot of people are asking themselves, like, where are we going to go from here? Like, it's leadership time. Who's going to put those boots on, those leadership boots on, and take charge? The people are ready. You got to know what time it is. You have to seize the time, prepare yourself, and you have to step out there and have courage enough to do it. This is a big, big deal doing this. It's a big sacrifice. But who wants you? The leaders have to have, it's got to be in you. And then you can be developed and people can get you the skills that you need. We can develop. But we need next level leadership to get us to the next level. You understand? You cannot get to the next level without next level leadership. And Pan-Africanism is just not it. We'll be all over the place. You'll be in Timbuktu one day and New Jersey the next day. You have to have laser focus and commitment to this work, building the right organizations that can articulate this justice claim with the specificity that it needs and be fully committed to this. If you got a Pan-African concept, your loyalties and your attention, it's going to be all over the place. Everything that we have needs to be focused on this. This is what we have to get after and put all of our attention. We don't have time to be mind wandering, mission wandering, and all of that. You're doing too much. You can't focus on the mission at hand. We need to focus on pure reparations nationally and a new reconstruction in our states. Period. That's what we have to do. And everyone else that's coming with other stuff, we don't have time for that. We too focus when you have national reparations as an agenda for your group, pure reparations done right to get the acknowledgement, redress, and closure for your family legacy that you have to have because they're trying to wipe you out, literally. You don't have time for all of that other fantastical nonsense.
That's right.
There's way more people, way more countries in Africa fighting for African oneness or whatever they got going on. There's enough of them doing that over there. What about, you know how many people in countries is in Africa and governments, black governments is in Africa? We don't even have that here.
Let's
work here to get what we need to done here, period.
Indeed.
Let me ask you a question. How many people over there are fighting for ADOS over here?
Nobody that I know of.
Okay,
I've
so
never heard of.
so I don't get what we're doing, what they're doing, what they're trying to imply, what they're trying to do. That doesn't make no sense. It just, if you can show me how people over there are trying to help Native Black Americans get reparations here and get policy influence over here, they're not even trying to do it over there. You got their government repressing. Listen, I'm not saying there. I need to be specific. Let's use one example of Nigeria. And us being a bottom caste can relate to police brutality, but they're not even advocating. I mean, there's a lot of people that are advocating. They won't even advocate against police brutality there. So, I don't understand why people are spending a lot of energy trying to do pan-Africanism, and when we have to spend the energy here as a bottom caste here, and not be worried about help, trying to advocate and fight for the other other groups of people in them other countries. I mean, that would be like a luxury thing to do. You know how the white celebrities like Angelina Jolie go get somebody and adopt some kids from over there. That's what you can do when you're wealthy and when you don't have to, when you're not at the bottom, when you got kind of a life of luxury. You don't see a lot of us doing that. And so in the same way, we're not trying to adopt no kids from over there. When a lot of us already got kids, we can't take it over here.
Be the last time.
It's the same.
Try it.
It's the same.
If not, then I guess I have
brother,
to try it another
you
time.
unmuted. We can hear you.
We can hear you, Matt. Can you hear us?
I don't even know if they can hear me or not.
No.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I love it. We one day y'all be able to hear from old Macaroni Primetime Mac, and he'll let you know what he was doing out there. This has been very good.
He should just use a cell phone.
I don't know.
But we coming up on an hour and 41 minutes.
You got to get up out of here.
Yeah, definitely. But I wanted us to come on tonight and have the conversation. Just do some talking, and I wanted the brothers Josh and Logic to touch on the Clubhouse app as well. And some of the things that was being discussed in that particular on that particular app right now. I'm trying to find a way to get me an iPad or an iPhone like ASAP so I could join in the conversation as well. Like my brother Logic was saying earlier, it's time for leadership. This is something that this particular platform is dedicated to, planting those seeds. And my brother Logic, he has said something earlier in our discussion, speaking about the true role of a leader. And I paraphrase him when he says that, a true leader is basically trying to create versions of themselves wherever they are, because this is an extension of leadership, right? When you're on automatic, right? You already know what to do. You got the talking points down pat. One of the things we speak about here is how the Black Panthers had a 6-week orientation so that everybody that was out in the field, they already knew. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have to bog one or two individuals down. Y'all got the talking points. Y'all have the study materials. Y'all know everything that's needed to move forward. So, and this is some of the qualities and actions of leaders and leadership. So, we're just trying to do our part in this particular space. And, when the time comes, y'all gonna see our boots on the ground all over this country. So, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Of course, I want the brothers, if they have anything else they want to add on. My brother Mac, for whatever reason, he's having some issues right now, so we might have to bring him on another time. But y'all had anything y'all wanted to add?
I wanted to say first, we have to build with a lot of people, man. We got to just keep building with a lot of people. And I hope, the brother Lab Tech Quan, even though, when you come in this platform, it may be an adversarial position, but we want everybody that's, we agree to most of the principal points of contention amongst maybe other Americans we're in solidarity with. So, I hope he, continues to connect. If you agree with the message, just add that to your advocacy. Don't just agree with the message. When I ask you your reparations and I say yes, then that means that need to be something that you're fighting for, not just that you agree that we should get it. Agreeing that we should get it is one thing. Actually talking about it and educating people on it, educating yourself on it, and educating other people on it, and pushing and fighting and demanding like your politicians to engage on the subject and to that they act on it, like that's a totally different thing. And also, look, those from the diaspora, this is, you're gonna have to get used to this conversation. You're gonna have to get used to the conversation, because this is if you're gonna talk about politics in America and you're gonna talk about blackness in America, you can't talk about it without talking about the people who are the result, the people why you even using the word black. You wouldn't even be using the word black if you weren't talking about ADOS. They created blackness in America. They created blackness to talk about ADOS, not to talk about you. Just understand that. So, that's not coming at you, but that's just what it is. And so, like, maybe in the past you were not used to having a conversation in this way, or perceiving it in this way, but it's true. Like, like wherever you may come from, that you don't refer to yourself as black when you get amongst your people. You call yourself by your tribe, your country, and that's fine. But we supposed to do the same thing. And then in terms of what we owe, if you can't, it's hard to see how like we have solidarity if you're not fighting for what we fighting for in America. If you want to call yourself black, then reparations need to be at the top of your priority list in terms of issues. Period.
Definitely. All right, brother Mac. We got brother Mac on. Can you hear us, brother?
I can finally hear y'all. What up, fellas? What up? I can't see Josh, but I just heard him give
What's
that
good, man?
great speech. I was in kind of late. I had some technical difficulties. It's so good to be on the show, y'all. Thank y'all for having me. I am an ADOS reparationist. Let's go.
All right, this is what we're gonna do. I wanted to, we hear you. I wanted to fold you into the conversation that we was having tonight. We coming up on 2 hours, but you was having technical difficulties, obviously. But if you could tell, and brief the people some of what you're doing on the ground, in New York, so they could know how these freedom correspondents look when they got 10 toes down. Let the people hear it, brother.
Might be a delay in the audio.
Okay. I go by Prom. Some of y'all may know me as Macaroni Mac on the Facebook platform. I'm from Harlem, in the Bronx, HBO, Harlem Bronx only, and I do a lot of protesting and marching, events, orchards. I just recently did one march on Black Friday where we was talking about Black-owned businesses. Let me tell you, wasn't really that many in the Midtown section or whatever, but as we got further up,
you breaking up, bro.
It was a little bit more Black-owned businesses.
Yeah, brother, your stream is breaking up bad.
Yeah, that's basically.
Yeah, we can't hear the brother.
I've been informing myself.
Yeah.
I've been
He can't
watching
hear us
the
because of the
Be the
delay.
Power Network.
Yeah.
Get more educated. Don't be
Mm.
Bay project with
You gotta cut it. You gotta mute it.
Yeah.
everything. You know, my cousin Steve, aka I am an A about while I'm talking to the people.
Yo, he got him. I want
all right, we got to mute him.
I want to hear him too, man.
Right.
But you can't.
It's
crazy.
So
wow.
Yeah. So
because he can't hear us.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, man, I think it was a good program. I'm glad everybody was on, man, and we let this brother come on for a minute and say what he wanted to say. I think every now and then we need to do that, and for the people, so that they can see that man, ain't no joke over here, man. It's not.
Yo, if we're gonna be bringing him on, and I wish it could have happened right tonight, because that brother really is doing a lot right now. And one time we're gonna catch him live in effect, and y'all gonna see what our field man Prime Time does out there as, you know, a BTP freedom correspondent out there in New York, Harlem area. He's out there on the ground, real grass. This is all grassroots stuff with the people, by the people, that we do with BTP, for the people, by the people, with the people. So we got people just like you and I everywhere doing what we can to liberate and achieve our plight. Macaroni Mac, Prime Time. Y'all will see more. I wish y'all could have heard what he had to say. Technical difficulties happen, but you'll get it. You'll get it. He'll be back.
Definitely. So, you know, again, family, we had an excellent conversation tonight. You know, this is what we do over here at Be the Power. I don't know what we're gonna touch on Thursday. We might. No, let's probably have an open mic again Thursday. I don't know. Me and the bros will talk about it, and then we could bring our brother back on again and see if we could get the conversation going. Maybe get some more of the pan-africanism. The next time, I'm letting y'all know I'm not letting nobody do no run-on sentences. I gave the brother a lot of leeway because I know what he was trying to do. I've been doing this for years, from Blog Talk Radio to YouTube. I already know what time it is, so I let the brother rock out and do his little shameless plugs, etc., etc. But eventually, we hope brothers like that will, you know, get out of their feelings, because sometimes you feel bad when you take a loss. You know what I mean? Get out of your feelings and come and connect with the bros and learn a little bit of something and say, you know what? I like y'all dudes, and I've been taking notes. Y'all brothers is on point. How can we work together? And that's the goal. That's the key. You know, we don't want to just have endless debates about nothing, and then the point of the debate gets missed and wrapped up in a whole bunch of other stuff that's really unnecessary. But it was good to let the brother go so that other people could see that there's no time to waste words. There's no time for it. You have to be to the point, succinct and concise, period. No time to waste words. That's why I let the brother waste words tonight as a lesson. As a lesson. I would have been got him up out of here. No disrespect. It ain't about disrespect. It's about, you made a point. You had some contention. We've allowed you to address that contention. And in 30 minutes, from our perspective, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. So, you know, it is what it is. But tune in Thursday, family. I'm not sure what the topic will be, but we will be back Thursday. You know, I'll leave y'all with this. Josh, you have something you wanted to say?
Nah, I'm just gonna say, you know, we got a lot of stuff we all been working on. You know, so you know, you're gonna start to see some good stuff come out soon. That's all I would say.
I'm actually working on a book right now, and that thing is going better than I expected, because it's so hard for me to focus on one thing right now because of all of the stuff that we be building on. So that thing is coming along really good. I think that the family is really, really going to love this book, man, because it's something that we've said on this platform. It's something that you heard on other platforms. that you know we've heard it in words, but this time it's going to be in print so that America can hear exactly why we feel the way we feel. I'm not going to give away the title or the subject of the book as of yet. So, you know, bro, I'm a close out with y'all.
Hold on. Before you close,
okay, brother.
Don't close yet. I just want to say, catch BTP in Clubhouse. All of us will be there. We're gonna have the BTP club is coming to a clubhouse near you. Me and brother Josh, we're on there now. And if you want us in your discussion, if you're on there, you want us in your discussions at Logic Supreme, at Josh Grayel, we'll come on, invite us to your conversation. We'll come through, chop it up. But we're going to be providing political education. You understand? Mentorship, training, motivation, counseling for political agency, right? We're here for you. We want to give y'all what we have so that you can take that and use that where you live to organize so you can be the power where you live, right? So get with us, family. You know we here for you. This is real grassroots politics at the grassroots. Understand that. Politics is it's the science of who gets what, when, where, and how. It's the most exciting thing that we all should be involved in.
That's right.
The game, politics is how it's played, family. You gotta get in the game.
Peace.
All right. So y'all already know what it is. Don't just fight the power, become the power. Then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, peace.